Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, Jolen.
Well, thank you for having me. I am really excited to be here.
That's awesome. I'm pumped to speak with you today. And I'd love for you to share with the listeners just who you are and what your story is.
I'd love to. My name's Jolen Philbrook, and I was born and raised in San Diego, where it's nice and warm and sunny. And then I moved to Northern California. And as I was growing up, I was taught New Thought, metaphysics, science of mind. So the philosophy was your thoughts create your reality. So I learned quite a few things, but of course, as a kid, you don't put it into practice.
No, not always.
I know. So in my adult life, that's how I came about manifestation is just one of those things we do automatically, but we don't always know we're manifesting. Isn't that the most interesting part of it?
I think so. I think, yeah, people, they're like, well, I want to learn how to manifest. And you're doing it every single day, whether you're consciously doing it, I think is the key piece. If you're consciously manifesting or just subconsciously, we are creating our own reality every day, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We definitely.
Yeah, fascinating. So you got taught that at a young age then?
Yeah, but the thing was, my mom was always saying, well, set your goals, do this, do that. And I hate goals. I don't like goal setting. So I like set my intention, or I'll say something like, what do I want to manifest now? So for instance, when my son was about 10, I had to get a Murano because we're going soccer, camping, and I had a Labradoodle. Well, now my son's grown, moved out, lives in his own house, and I still have this Murano. And my favorite car is a Jag. And oh man, they pass. And I'm like, that's for me. And this one day I'm thinking, I need an in-between car because I'm not quite ready for the Jag yet. And I'm looking at all the cars on the freeway. And after I look at all of them, I go, nope, I want a Jag. I totally forgot about it. I had a phone call 2 weeks later that says, hey, you want to take a trip to Santa Cruz? And I'm like, why? And the person goes, there's a convertible Jag I want to buy you.
But they want to buy you.
They want to buy me.
What?
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I don't really like convertibles. And so they're like, well, what do you want? And I got this beautiful sedan Jaguar sitting in my driveway today.
Wow. That's pretty exciting. It's interesting in there that you had the conversation with yourself of, oh, not yet. I want that dream, but not yet, right? And
Right.
for you, do you think that was, I don't know, I guess in a sense that was you holding yourself back from having that manifestation come through faster in a sense?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I almost felt like maybe I wasn't deserving enough of it yet. So I just kind of had to practice in that 2 week time frame, practice feeling more abundant. So what we learn, or how I was raised, is our thoughts get things going, but the emotion is the fuel that feeds the fire. The emotion is what's pushes it forward quicker, easier, faster.
I like that. The emotion is the fuel. That is a
Yeah.
really simplified yet powerful way to connect manifestation. You think the things, but then your emotion connects you. Because anytime I know for me that I have been truly connected in emotion to the thing that I want, the fast track that you can get on by connecting like that. So I would love for you to share, because I know you have the story that you'd mentioned prior about a little green book that kind of was like the seedling that started you on this journey too. Would you be able to share that story?
Sure. I was 18 years old and I moved out for the very first time, and I was a phone solicitor. So, of course, hi, hang up. Nobody would buy anything, and I was not very good at it either. So I was given this little green pamphlet. Had like 16 pages, and it was all about beliefs around money. And I would read a page and I'm like, what did it talk about? Do I have these beliefs? And I would have to reread each page about 3 times because I was absorbing the information. And then during the day, I would go out and do my thing and I would think about, oh, does that belief pop up in my life? And if it did, I just kind of canceled it and reframed it. And by the end of the week, I had the $350, which is worth what, $2,200 today,
Right.
to pay my rent and all the utilities and stuff like that. And then a couple years later, I meet my boyfriend and we start traveling and doing arts and craft shows, and we weren't making any money. And I'm like, well, if it worked then, will it work now? And we made $200 at our very first show because I pulled out that little green pamphlet and reread it and worked on beliefs again. And then later on in our married life, every Friday before the show, I would revisit that little green book. And, we could make anywhere from 5 to 20,000 in a weekend. And the most we ever made at a jewelry show was 50,000 in a weekend selling jewelry.
Wow.
Yeah, from $200 up to 50,000, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is a pretty significant money block that you've released there to go from 200 to 50,000.
We would go to Tucson and buy our gemstones, and I kept saying we need to buy better stones. I had to talk my husband into buying a better stone to make a better ring. So let's say the ring was $2,000. And he goes, I can't sell that. And I go, yes, you can. Watch. You go up, you talk to the person, and they bought it. And once I showed him how to sell it, he could sell it. But it started with the $45 rings. I had to do the same thing for $200, $500, every price point, I had to prove to him it could be sold. So when we're in business and we're at different levels in our business, the same money blocks keep coming up, and we have to keep clearing them because we're growing at a higher level.
Yeah, that's a really valid point. Let's touch on that for a second. What do you recommend for somebody to first off identify and then release that limiting belief that they have, especially those ones that are going to keep coming up?
Yeah, and sometimes you'll get triggered and you don't even realize you're triggered. So a while back during lockdown, toilet paper was not in sight, right? So now, years forward, there's a strike at the docks and Costco doesn't have any toilet paper again. And I went into this loop of lack, limitation, not enough. And it took me about a day to realize, oh my gosh, I fell back into this old belief of lack, limitation, and not enough. And so what I did was open my kitchen cabinets and go, oh my God, I have enough. At one time, I had 16 sets of china. Do we need 16 sets of china?
Probably not.
No. And I'm like, I have enough. So I walk around and show my eyes there is enough. And then I have to reframe it in my head. Oh, I have enough. And I always use affirmations. Affirmations have helped me transform my life more times than not. And one of them is I'm always provided for. There's always enough. Whatever I need's there. I just have this belief and faith it will appear.
And I think that's really important. And I know, especially talking about the sense of money, people come from that place of scarcity and lack, being scared for money. You're from the United States. I'm from Canada. Our governments right now are printing money as fast as their paper printers will let them print it. There is more than enough money. We have to get ourselves away from that belief that money is scarce. There isn't enough, because there is enough money. It's just us telling ourselves and training ourselves that money opportunities are around me. There's more than enough money to come to me, but I have to have that belief, like you said before, being deserving of it. that
Yeah.
you are allowed to want more money, and that's okay, right?
And I like to look at money as energetically because, sure, we have the paper that we can touch, but
Mhm.
where does money really originate from? It's something that we labeled as a trade or an exchange. So if we have a lack of exchange, where are we not exchanging our energy, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm hearing in that, yes, you're right. Money is not, it's not just the piece of paper, it is an energetic exchange. So, in order for you to gratefully accept that money transfer, then I think you as a person need to be confident in the skills or the service that you're providing or the product to know that, yes, it's win-win, right? I have created this thing or I'm doing this thing in exchange for money. That is an energetic exchange. It's not just a piece of paper with a dollar sign written on it.
Or even service. My husband, he's passed now, but the sleazy salesman, put him in that box. I mean, oh my gosh. And so when I started my own business, and I'm like, oh, I hate sales. They're so sleazy. And I did not even know I had this belief, a sleazy salesman. And it came out one time in a conversation, and I'm like, ooh, I got to work on that one.
Right.
So when we pay attention to our feelings or our thoughts or our words, then you can see what's hidden in your subconscious mind, and then you can shift it, change it, and stuff. And one of the things I really like to work on with the people I work with is, so they're at this level of money. Let's say they're making $10,000 a month and they want to go up to 15. They haven't been there yet. So what I like to do is help them embody the feeling of having it already. And I do that through talking to their subconscious mind and programming the feeling and the knowing. And then their homework is to walk through the day as if they were making that amount of money.
So
Yeah.
let's
And
talk about that for a minute. So when you're working with somebody, is it hypnosis that you're doing where you're talking to their subconscious mind?
I took yeah, I do. I am certified in hypnosis, but I'm also in many other modalities. And I just kind of take them and commingle them all together. So it might be hypno, a little NLP, theta healing, energy work. You just shift and change whatever the person needs, which is really fun.
Neat. That's what I'm finding fascinating. The more people I talk to on this show, because you got money, which people are like that hard, tangible piece of paper in our mind, right?
Yeah,
But so much of it is energetic. Like so
right.
much of it is actually not necessarily a tangible thing. And the people that come on to explain, like, oh, hypno and NLP and energy, and we can use Reiki and all these different tools, right? That you don't even think, oh, that is going to be connected to my wealth. That is going to be connected to the way I lead my life. But so often I'm hearing, and it goes back to that energetic level, which I
Yeah.
find fascinating.
And one of my favorite things I like to do is, so they have this lack and limitation,
Mhm.
and they might have learned it from their parents that taught it from their grandparents who were in the depression, right? But it even goes back further. So you can go back to the very first time where somebody in the line of family has had this lack and limitation. What's popping into my head is one of my clients whose grandfather owned a store, and yet she was never able to keep money because the store needed the money. Like you had to pay the store had to buy the groceries, you were not allowed to keep money. And so she was never good at managing money. And that was grandpa's belief that was taught.
Interesting. So does that trickle down through then generations of his children learned that and taught that behavior to their children, which then taught it to the great grandkids? Is
Yeah,
that how
yes, yeah, it trickles down through the generations. You probably heard the old story, this young couple get married and the wife's going to make a pot roast for the first time, and she takes a hunk off the end and throws it in the pan. And he goes, "Why do you do that?" And she goes, "Because that's what my mother taught me." So then they go to the mother's house for dinner, and she happened to make a pot roast, and he watched her do the same thing. And he goes, "Well, why did you cut the end off the roast?" And he goes, "Because my grandma taught me that." So they finally go to grandma's house, and they're having a pot roast. And grandma throws it in the pan and puts it in the oven. And he goes, "You forgot to cut an end off." She goes, "Oh, I did that when the pan was too small. I bought a bigger pan."
Oh, I love that. Yes. And that is something that is so important for people to listen to. Like, whose belief have you picked up? And is it even accurate? That
Yeah,
is a silly story and a perfect example of you're doing that because that's what you've been taught. That's what you learn. And when you're these little tiny people growing up, you're learning from the people that are teaching you, right? So you
yeah,
just start accepting it as fact in a sense of, oh, that's just the way we do things. And it's interesting to get to that point of being a young adult or stepping out into the world on your own to start questioning whose belief is this? Is it even accurate? Is it correct? And I guess in the terms of correctness there, oftentimes there are more than one ways to do things, and that's
yeah,
okay. Like we're always so pitted on there's only one way to do something, the right way or the wrong way. And as you step out into the world and start allowing yourself that freedom of, oh, I can do it my way. It works best for me this way. I'm not hurting anybody by doing it my way, and they can do it their way. Their way shouldn't offend me. But there's just kind of a freedom that comes with challenging the beliefs that you've adopted over the years and going, wait a second, I'm allowed to change this.
yeah. And give yourself permission,
Yeah.
A lot of times, let's take that jog for example. I
Yeah.
had to ask myself, is it okay now to have the Jag, even though it's a little early? And at the car dealership, I was so nervous. Like, it was so weird. And it's a mind trip. The whole thing is a mind trip.
Yeah. And just allowing yourself and giving yourself, like you just said, permission.
Yeah. Give yourself permission to have what you want, and don't put it so far out there that it's not in your energy field.
Yeah. Fascinating. I would love for you to share like what daily rituals or habits you do or suggest for somebody to do to just cultivate that abundance mindset.
I actually made a couple audios, and I go to sleep listening to them. It plays while I go to sleep, and then I wake up in the morning, I meditate, I kind of visualize what it is that I want to manifest. And then during the day, midday, I'll just pause briefly, kind of recenter, reground myself. I tap into a tree just by looking at a tree, pausing, calming, tapping back into nature, centering myself. I spend a lot of time just centering myself and being calm, because you cannot manifest if you're in fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, stress. It doesn't work. The goal is to stay calm, peaceful, serene, happy, joyful.
Mhm. Yeah, and I can just see your face. Even you talking about it, you're taking yourself to that place right now. You can just see your face is just like a light bulb that you're just in this happy little bubble. And that's really valid to get yourself to that place. And is the audios that you listen to, are those audios that you've made to share with people, or are they your own personal audio talking to you?
I have one on my website people can download. It's Jolen, Jolen, Philbrook, PHILBROOK.com. And it's for money, wealth, and abundance. So it's just an overall round meditation that's 15, 20 minutes long. And go to sleep listening to it, and it works on your subconscious mind. If something doesn't jive with you, it'll wake you up, and you have to rewind it and hear what the affirmation was or the statement, because that is your money block that just appeared. It's really interesting how it works.
Oh, I'm gonna have to download that and play around with that and see. Because
Yeah,
you sometimes it's not obvious, right? You know there's
right.
something there. You're not getting to that next level of sales. You can sell the $45 ring, but you can't sell the $2,000 ring yet. What is it? So just to have that extra inputs to figure that out. And I would love for you to share any wisdom or advice you have for somebody to like truly step into a life they love.
I'll give a quick little example. I was in this miserable time of my life, right? I was going through cancer and I didn't have any money, and all I wanted to do was be happy. And I looked through some catalogs, magazines, and I found a woman that was literally smiling. She had on a pink top with white pearls. I put her in a picture frame in my kitchen and I said, "That's the new me. I am happy." So my favorite is to have something visual. I have a little sign here. It says, "You're making a difference." I have a rock with the word believe on it. I believe I can do this. I have visual things around me all the time to remind myself, who am I becoming? What is it I want? And then I literally will take my right foot and step into the energy of who I'm being. And it's really exciting to do this because then you're changing your energy, your vibration, and you're changing your persona. It's just an easy, quick tip to do.
I love the intentionalness behind all that. You're setting yourself those visual cues around your living space, but then to physically step into that, that's a fun little extra step to do. Because then to me, you're taking action. You're taking action towards this is what I want. You're showing the universe, here's what I'm going for. Meet me halfway, but this is what I want and this is what I'm going for. I would love for you to share where listeners can reach out to you and find you.
I have a YouTube channel, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and it's all under my first and last name, Jolen Philbrook. And then on my website, you can download that free money, wealth, and abundance meditation.
Okay, perfect. I will link all that in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Jolyn.
Well, thanks for having me. It was fun. I enjoyed it.